Hey nerds! Today I want to go over the standard guidelines for formatting your manuscript. Because when you are querying agents and sending your book out into the world, you not only want the story and writing to be as good as possible, you also want your manuscript to look clean and professional, like you know what you're doing. And while advice about how to format your manuscript can vary a little bit depending on where you get it from, and some agents' preferences might change it too, there are some pretty standard format things you can do if you aren't sure what the agent wants that you can't go wrong with. First things first, I recommend that you do this in Microsoft Word because part of the goal of formatting your manuscript is to make it as standardized as possible for everyone that you're going to send it to, and pretty much everybody can open a Microsoft Word document. Definitely all of the agents you send it to will have Microsoft Word and they'll be able to open it, and the formatting will still look the same, it won't be messed up. So definitely if you can do Microsoft Word, do it in Microsoft Word. Also, I do my formatting while writing my second draft. In the first draft, you really don't want to be worrying about how it looks and if you have everything looking perfect. You just want to get those words down. Plus, I like to do my first drafts in Google Docs so that I can work on it among different devices wherever I am. And there's no point in formatting your document when you're going to be switching to Microsoft Word from something else because it's just going to get messed up. So I like to do it in my second draft so that I can do the formatting as I go through the book and rewrite things. That way I can make sure I'm not missing anything and that everything's looking good. And then in later revisions, I can also clean up anything that I missed before, and I just have multiple rounds to make sure that everything looks right. First, we're going to take care of the page setup. You want your font to be something very standard. I recommend Times New Roman. Some people will recommend other fonts, but I really think that Times New Roman is a really good one. I've seen a lot of agents mention that that is what they prefer over something like Courier New, which I know is sometimes recommended. So Times New Roman, black, 12 point, very standard. Everybody's going to be able to read that and it's going to look normal on their computer or whatever device they're reading it on. Your margins should be set to 1 inch, and your indent is going to be 1/2 inch, and then the entire document should be double spaced. You're also going to need to create a header for your document so that the agent can keep track of which story this is they're reading and what page they're on. To start off, I'm going to add in a second page. I'll explain why in a moment. And then to add the header, you go to the Insert tab, and then you don't click on header, you click on page number actually, then go to top of page, and then you want that third one that's aligned to the right. So you'll see here that page 1 is page 1, page 2 is page 2, but we actually don't want page 1 to have a page number because it's going to be the title page, and you don't number your title page. You want page 1 to be the first page of your story. So to get rid of that, you click different first page, but then you'll see that page 2, which is actually going to be our page 1, needs to be changed. So to do that, you will go in over here to the page number tab, then go to Format Page Numbers, and start at 0 instead of 1, so that that first unnumbered title page is page 0, and then the first page of your actual manuscript is page 1. Then I'm going to add the story information in front of this. So you will put in your last name, then a /, then the title or a couple keywords to help the agent remember which book this is. And then you'll see that when I add in another page, when you add to the story, automatically it has that entire header. It has the last name, the title, and then page 2, and it will continue to add them as you continue to add pages. Next, you need to create the first page of your document, which will be your title page. In the upper left corner, you're going to have your contact information, so your name, your address, your phone number, your email. And then you also want to have your word count up at the top. You can either put that on the left side underneath your contact info, or you can keep it separate over on the right side. And you can round this to the closest 1,000 or 500. You don't have to have the exact number all the way down to the ones digit. Halfway down the page, you are going to put your title. This will be centered, and I like to do it in all caps. Underneath, you put the word by, and underneath that, you put your name. And that's your title page. It's very simple. You don't need to do anything fancy. You just want to have the basic information about you and your book. Once you've got your title page done, you are ready to start the book. Every chapter is going to start the same way. You start it a third of the way down the page. That's about 6 spaces. Then you put the chapter and number. If you have a title, you can put a dash and then the title as well for that chapter. And you can do this either in all caps or just normal capitalizing each word, the first letter. But I like to do it in all caps personally. I just like the way that it looks. Then you go down 2 spaces and start your text. The first paragraph can be indented or you can let it be aligned left. I personally prefer to have it aligned left, and then the rest of the paragraphs should be indented. But the first one, you can do it either way. And like I said, you're going to do every chapter this way. So each chapter you need to start a new page and go down those 6 spaces. You don't want to start the chapter just 2 spaces below the last line of the chapter before. You want it to start on a new page every time so that it's easy to find those chapter beginnings. However, if you are starting a new scene rather than a new chapter, you will just go down a couple spaces and put in a scene break. So this can either be a pound symbol or you might call it a hashtag symbol. That's the one I prefer, and you put it in the middle of the line, so you want to center that. Or you can put 3 asterisks, and then you go down a couple more spaces and start the new scene. This time you definitely do indent that first paragraph of the new scene. Unlike the beginning of a chapter, you don't have a choice here. Indent that paragraph. And finally, when you get to the end of your book, you want to mark that in some way. You can put the end, you can put another pound symbol. You just want something that lets the agent know that yes, they are at the end of the manuscript. They're not missing pages or something. Other important things, when you want to have emphasis, use italics. Don't bold it, don't underline it, don't highlight it in orange or something else strange. Just use italics for that. I know at one point in time you may have been taught in school to put 2 spaces after a period because that used to be the standard way of doing things. It is not anymore. It is now just 1 space after a period. Putting 2 spaces will not stop you from getting an agent, I don't think. They probably will not say no to you just because you put 2 spaces after your periods. However, you will eventually have to change it, and it will probably save you and your editors a little bit of a headache if you just do 1 space. Avoid doing anything weird with your formatting. I don't really know specifically how to explain this, but really use your common sense and don't think, oh, if I put half my document in pink font, that's really going to make me stand out. And also just beware that certain formatting things, like maybe strange fonts that only you have on your computer, are not going to translate over well, and it's going to really mess up the formatting and probably make your document not look good if the agent that's looking at it doesn't also have that font or that piece of formatting on their computer. So just try to keep things as standard and basic as possible. And one final caveat to all of this advice that I've given you on manuscript formatting is this is just the standard way of doing things. Always, always, always make sure that you are checking the specific agent's guidelines because they might want something different. If an agent says that they want all of the font to be green, or they want your margins to be 1 3/4 inch, or just anything, if they want the query letter to be at the top of the document, whatever it is, make sure that you follow their guidelines first and foremost, and then if they don't have any guidelines or if there's anything you're not sure about, these standard rules will always serve you well.